Again, everybody. How you doing this Thursday morning? It's our town time on 94.9 and 99.1 The River. The show sponsors, as always, by our good friends at Decorah Bank and Trust. Four guests on the program this morning. We'll talk to Waukon City Manager Gary Boden. A little later on in the program, we'll talk to Halley Wise, the Pine Bluff Camp cleanup taking place this Saturday. Halley will tell you all about it. Coming up Friday night is the Decorah Area Chamber of Commerce Gala, and we'll talk about that with Jessica Rilling with the Decorah Area Chamber of Commerce. Been instructed not to say talk about, and I owe myself a couple of dollars here in the talk about jar. But we'll get the program going this morning. Beginning tonight, the Allamakee Community Players putting on a dinner theater, the radio play disaster. And we're going to talk about it on the radio with Sarah Hagen from the Allamakee Community Players. Sarah will be our first guest this morning on our town on 94.9 and 99.1 The River, brought to you by Decorah Bank and Trust. Coming up this weekend, the Allamakee Community Players will be putting on their next dinner theater, and here to talk about it is Sarah Hagen. And Sarah, tell us all about your next production coming up this weekend.
Yeah, so we're doing what's called the Radio Play Disaster. And it's a comedy and it's kind of heralds back to War of the Worlds, that kind of old-time radio plays. And it's going to be at Empty Nest Winery this weekend. It's dinner theater, so you get dinner and show.
And how much time goes into your production, from selecting what the production will be, to rehearsals, to picking a cast, to the presentation coming up this weekend? How much work do you put in?
Well, gosh, from auditions to show. It's about 6 to 8 weeks of prep and rehearsal. So about 2 to 3 times a week, our players get together and rehearse. And we did it up at the Methodist Church this year for most of our rehearsal. And then the final show is at Empty Nest, and we get in there 1 week ahead of time. So everything you see was kind of done 1 week before. So we work really hard the week right up to the show to make it look good and to be really, really funny.
And doing all this in a month and a half to 2 months, how do you put it all together in that short of a time frame? Obviously, everyone's needs to be focused and on the same page from that short a time frame from the outside looking in. Would that be fair to say?
Yeah, absolutely. So we get the scripts. Even before that, we get the scripts about 3 months before. And then people get to look over it. And then we have auditions about 8 weeks before. And then the rest is all rehearsal. So they have to memorize their lines and get all of that done within that time frame. So I kind of direct the players how I want them to stand and blocking and things like that. But all the funny and all the acting is all them. So when you get a talented group of people who are volunteering their time and just want to put on a good show, you usually get something really good.
And give us a little bit of the storyline. Obviously, we don't want to give away spoilers because we want people coming out Friday and Saturday. But let's say this is the trailer for this play. Give us a 30-second trailer, if you will. I think that's what we use in the biz.
Yeah. So I'm going to read the synopsis for you.
Okay.
All right. So self-proclaimed genius Harlan Bean is ready to make history with his science fiction radio masterpiece called Battle of the Planets. But when the broadcast is in the hands of an ambitious actress with her own vision for her character, several terrified last-minute replacements jumping in, and a disgruntled sound engineer out for revenge, the mayhem in the studio makes an alien invasion look like a piece of cake.
Well, there's a lot of self-proclaimed geniuses in my business, so it kind of it's all together and kind of comes full circle on that end of things. How can people purchase tickets?
Yes, absolutely. So Empty Nest Winery is hosting us, and they do a very good job, and their food is excellent. Also, plus you get to, yeah, they have a bunch of wines and beer and alcohol and everything that you can drink during the show, and not many places can say that. So Yes, you can get your dinner, three-course meal, and the show packaged together. It's just $46, and you can purchase that at Empty Nest Winery by calling their number direct at 568-2758. Or if you want to order online, our tickets, you can get them confirmed right away at called aroundrivercity.com. And our show should be easily searchable from there. It's the radio play Disaster. Um, and if you want, I have the menu.
Okay, you give us even more. I mean, that might be even that I'll
Yes,
say equal to the trailer for the
yes,
presentation itself. Give us the menu.
yes. This would sell it for me, absolutely. So the menu is house Caesar salad, ham balls with brown sugar glaze, chicken marsala, jasmine rice, green beans, dinner rolls, and choice of dessert. And if I know Pam Kruger out there, she always does at least one chocolate thing. So you got chocolate, or another dessert to choose from.
Oh, sounds very tasty. My mouth is watering as we speak as you bring that up. How many community theaters do the dinner play concept? Because seemingly that's kind of a unique thing based on what you're telling me.
So we've done dinner theater out at Empty Nest for the last 4 years now.
Okay,
This is the first time we've done a radio play.
okay.
Um, the history of radio plays kind of dates back to like 1930s, where they had the War of the Worlds, the Orson Welles tale, and Little Orphan Annie was way back in the day too. I mean, this was what before television, this is the only way you could get serial shows. Before you binged anything on Netflix, you had serial shows on the radio, and you would listen to the next installment and the next episode the day after that. So this is kind of like that, where everything is based on what you hear necessarily, not what you see. But you'll also see some pretty crazy antics.
No.
Not everything's going to go to plan for this show. So just be prepared to be surprised and excited for it.
And what time does the fun begin Friday and Saturday night?
6 o'clock is when dinner starts. You can show up 5:30 for cocktail hour, right? A half hour before, but 6 o'clock is the when we serve the first course, and then the show will go on in between courses. So you get to have a course meal and a show.
All right. Anything else we're missing? Anything else you want to pass on as long as you got the forum?
I think that's it. We're just really hoping that people can make it out to come. I know schedules are busy this time of year, but you will not regret it. It is a very, very good time.
All right, Sarah, we appreciate you taking a few minutes. Congrats on the work that you put into this point. It ought to be a great presentation out at Empty Nest this weekend. We wish you best of luck with the presentation, and hopefully it's a full house of well-fed people enjoying some great entertainment.
Yeah, we hope so. Thank you so much, Darren.
Sarah Hagen joining us from the Allamakee Community Players. The radio play Disaster coming up at Empty Nest Winery this weekend. 6 o'clock starts for both Friday and Saturday night. Having another conversation here with Jessica Rilling. We get to talk to her a lot this time of year. Women's Weekend out earlier this month, and this Friday night is the Decorah Chamber Gala, and it will take place this Friday night. And Jessica, tell us all about it.
Well, we're excited this year, like we are every year. We really work hard to make the event fun and thematic. This year, it's The Office. So we really leaned into that theme, and that helps us shape the drinks and the games, and then the live auction packages, which are awesome this year. A lot of amazing contributions from area businesses in support of the event. So we're looking forward to it.
How'd you come up with the idea to make the theme The Office this year?
Yeah, well, we try to pick stuff that will resonate with people. And yeah, this TV sitcom has just been a favorite for a long time. Chamber staff really love it. So I guess that it has to make that criteria to become the theme for us. We're big fans. Actually, I would say most of us have watched it a lot. Meg Storkamp, who helps us in reception, had never seen it. And so as prep for the event, she has been watching it and providing us her feedback on the show. which has been great. So she's not sure that Michael Scott is a very good boss. But we told her there's still a lot to enjoy about it. He's very mean, she said.
But he's the world's best boss, and he has the coffee mug to prove it, though. I mean,
well, there you go. Yeah, that was what we told her back. So, but yeah, we're getting everything ready here. It'll be a really nice night. This is an event we always tell folks if there's a lot going on. This one supports community betterment and local economy work that's really important for our town. And so we love for people to use it as a chance to obviously come have fun. But it is an important fundraiser for the chamber nonprofit too.
and give us the details. Give us the who, what, where, when, and why.
Yeah, so we're happy to partner with Impact Coffee. Like you said, it's Friday, April 25th. People can buy their tickets now. We'd love to see those come through, but they can also buy them at the door, and the doors open at 6:30. So we've got, they're working on signature drinks for us. We've got YouTube barbecue serving, and that'll be a great way to stay fueled, I think, for the night. And then the games will be really fun. So a lot of times people come with a group of friends to just enjoy the evening. We keep it, people move around a lot for the event. So sometimes I think people think maybe they will be at a seated table with a group. And the last couple of years, what we've found is that people really enjoy having a chance to talk with a lot of folks that are there. So we set up a lot of high tops on both the main floor and the second floor of Impact, so people can move around. And it's a good chance to talk with people from all the business sectors, Luther College. We're thrilled to have Brad Chamberlain in attendance this year, and a drink with Brad is in one of the live auction packages. So yeah, just a good chance to socialize, get to know people, and have a nice time downtown.
And you bring up some of the games that will be involved in the evening. Can you go any further on that, or do we not want to do the spoiler thing?
Well, I can tell you what the names of them are, and I
Okay.
think people who are fans of The Office will be able to imagine what that might look like. We do have Flonkerton, if you're familiar with the Office Olympics. We are figuring out a way to do it safely. A paper airplane game, one for Saving Bandit. I don't know if you remember the episode where Angela's cat gets thrown up into the ceiling and comes out through another tile. So a Save Bandit game, and an anger management game inspired by Andy Bernard. I don't know if you remember that episode where he punches a hole through sheetrock. So all three of those just for fun, and something to do in between your conversations with friends. So
And again, you mentioned tickets are available now. How can people purchase tickets now? You mentioned they'll be available at the door as well, but how can people purchase tickets now should they choose?
Absolutely. So we get asked, like, who can come to this? Everyone can come to this. If you're an employee of a chamber member business, your ticket costs a little bit less, but everyone is welcome. The tickets online are available at decorahareachamber.com. If you just scroll down to the bottom of the homepage and click on Chamber Gala, you get to read about the whole event, all the live auction packages, the games, the sponsors, all of that good stuff. You can buy your tickets there, as well as you can buy some raffle tickets ahead of time. So some of the games we'll play, you have to buy the stuff there and participate that night, but you are able to buy some raffle tickets ahead if that works well for you. So yeah, just online, decorahariachamber.com.
And we've talked all about the gala right now. Anything we're missing about the gala, or anything else you want to pass along from the chamber perspective, as long as you got the horn this morning?
Oh, sure. Well, this is that time of year where we see a really big uptick in visitor travel. And that's true again this year. I think Women's Weekend Out was the last time I talked to you. Folks had good sales weekends. We got good feedback from the shops in the Decorah area. And visitor traffic is going up at all of the major attractions and here at the visitor center. So this is sort of that time when we get excited to launch tourism season, and it's started.
All right, Jessica, we appreciate the time as always and the information that you passed along about the Chamber Gala coming up tomorrow night. Have a lot of fun. It sounds like a fun night and hopefully a good crowd and a lot of positivity raised by the Decorah business community because that's what you're all about.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you very much, Darren.
Jessica Rilling from the Decorah Area Chamber of Commerce Chamber Gala tomorrow night. Impact Coffee, doors open at 6:30. Coming up this Saturday, it's the 2025 Pine Bluff Cleanup as it will take place Saturday morning, and Halley Wise is here to join us. And Halley, tell us what will be going on Saturday morning.
So it is our annual camp cleanup. It's from 9 to noon at the 4-H camp, Pine Bluff 4-H camp. So bring buckets and rakes and gloves. What we do is we go into the cabins and we wash the mattresses down and flip them, and we vacuum the floors and we clean the kitchen. We pick up sticks. It's a lot of fun. We got 4-H kids out there with parents and past leaders and our board, of course. That'll be part of that. So.
And you mentioned this is an annual event, and it sounds like it's a real feeling of community when you guys get all together and make sure the camp is up and running and ready to go here for 2025.
Exactly. So we have our season is May 1 to October 1. And so we're getting prepped for it. We've got, I think, some graduations and weddings, and of course, our 4-H camps coming up. So we get ready for the May 1 opening.
How busy are you during the season?
Well, we wish we were busier.
Oh.
So please contact the extension office for open dates. We'd love to see if we could fit in some time for a group to come out. They've got great hiking trails. We've got access to a volleyball space. There's a softball space. We've got inner tubes for the river if that's something that you'd like to do. There's a little playground for younger kids there. Campfire rings. We'd love to host you if we can do it. But all you have to do is call the extension office, and they are open Monday through Thursday, 8 to 4:30, and then Friday mornings. So yeah, if you can reach out to them. So we're about half full right now. So of course, some people actually plan their reunions the year ahead. So they come in to pay for last year and they put their down payment for the next year. So.
Yeah, and obviously it's a very versatile location with everything you just mentioned. For those that don't know, where is this camp specifically located?
So we're out on River Road. Our address is 2672 River Road. So you go past Walmart, past Oneota Country Club, and keep on going on the gravel. And 2672 River Road. The camp's been in existence in 2027. It'll be 75th year.
Wow.
So, yeah.
I know it's been around for a while. I guess I didn't have an idea it's been around that long. For those that want to help out on Saturday morning, what do they need to do?
So just you can get a hold of Ashley Holgren at the extension office, or you can get a hold of us by calling the extension office. They can give you Ashley's email address as well. She kind of coordinates the youth of the county. And I'm part of the board. And I just want to make sure I get a few minutes here to talk about who is on the board, because shout out to those folks. We have Danella Darrington, Judy Drenth, Randy Graves, Ruth Hampton, Brittany Henry, Ann Mansfield, Bear McCaslin, Leroy McClintock, Edna Schrant is an ad hoc, Rick Tweet, and myself. We also have Addison Wickland and John Donovan, and those are our extension council representatives for the youth. We also have a very important key to our camp, and it's Rick Mott. And Rick has been at the camp for over 20 years. He lives there. He maintains the camp, does all the mowing. And so, yeah, he's an integral part of our camp and getting it to function. And people actually, he does a really nice job. He works full time, and this is his side gig.
Yeah, sounds like some real pillars of the community that make everything
Mhm.
a reality out at the camp. And what advice do you have for people willing to help out on Saturday morning? Do they need to bring anything themselves? Is the materials provided? I imagine you don't bring your Sunday best, but
Right.
exactly. But
Yep.
tell
Yep.
us what people need to bring.
Yep. So we'd like you to bring, if you're coming to pick up sticks or to rake, bring those kinds of things. If you have a bucket to put water in, we have, we've got water and soap and all the cleaning supplies. But yeah, if you could bring gloves, work gloves, and outdoor working kind of clothing and attire, and anytime between 9 and noon.
All right, Hallie, anything we're missing? Anything else you want to pass on regarding the cleanup this weekend or the Pine Bluff camp itself?
So we are 100 acres. We have a well-known swinging bridge that goes from one bank to the other. It was erected in the 60s. Frank Holland was one of the engineers behind that. So that's kind of a prestigious thing that we have, one of the only swinging bridges in the community, or in the state actually. And Yeah, we just went through strategic planning with Scott Tim. He is an outreach planner from Extension, and we're looking at new ideas and bringing in new life into the camp and handing it off for the next generation in good shape.
And hopefully at least 75 more years of this camp and hopefully even more than that. But Hallie, we thank you for taking a few minutes to join us and talk about the cleanup this weekend in the Pine Bluff camp. And we thank you and everyone related to the County 4-H for what you guys do for the young people in our community.
Absolutely. We have a very strong extension, which, seeps into our 4-H groups and our communities. And it's not just farm kids anymore that are in 4-H. It's a lot of country, city kids too, that are bringing in projects. And yep, it's all inclusive.
Hallie Wise joining us. The Pine Bluff cleanup taking place Saturday morning from 9 a.m. until noon. Time now for our monthly conversation with the city manager of Waukon, Gary Boden. Several issues were discussed at this week's city council meeting. You finally had the real public hearing on the budget, and tell us what the budget is going to be showing for the fiscal year starting July 1st.
Well, the only thing that is of significance is that we've drawn down the fund balance some to pay for some one-time expenditures. Realistically, our staffing levels are the same. Our expenditures are throttled down some by the property tax reform. This particular year of property tax reform does not have a significant impact because we did not have any assessed valuation change in our community. Or for that matter, you'd see much valuation change throughout the state because this is the year that assessments really aren't any of any significance. The upcoming year for fiscal 27, there will be some significant change. And in fact, we don't even know what exactly the change is going to be because the state is revising the revisions that they made to the property tax code 2 years ago. And it still is of a significant concern to us. But as far as the budget's concerned, we still have a 7-member police department as far as its funding is concerned, although we have a vacancy right now. We have 5 members in the water and sewer utility. We have 5 members in the street department. We have, well, really about 4 full-time people in Parks and Rec, but a whole bunch of seasonal part-timers. The administrative staff is the same size. Our costs that are increased that are increasing as far as operations is concerned is really due to the fact that we've hired a new legal team, a new city attorney firm that's going to cost us more. But other than that, we really don't have a whole lot of change here. Our capital expenditures for improvements is significantly down this year. The only project that we have, which is ongoing right now, is the construction of 4th Avenue Northwest, for the twin home duplex subdivision. Other than that, there are no capital expenditures. There is perhaps the contemplation of one that could start next year. But at this point in time, there's no commitments at all for making any physical improvements to the city. There is a lot of construction going on, but it is now all private sector development.
But looking forward, as you mentioned, some potential concerns as the state continues to revise the revisions to the revisions regarding property tax reform.
Yeah.
Is the concern just not knowing what the heck it'll be?
I think it's a little bit more defined than that.
Okay.
There's a whole lot of issues concerned about the property tax cap. They're talking about a 2% cap effectively on the general fund, which becomes problematic because the general fund is really pays for the police department plus Parks and Rec. We have smaller amounts paying for general administration and the library, but those are small in comparison to Parks and Rec and to the police department. And if in fact we have cost increases that are related to those operations, then it becomes problematic. Now, we had a referendum that changed how we use local option sales tax that started the beginning of this calendar year, which allows us to buy public safety vehicles and equipment out of local option sales tax that takes some of the pressure off the general fund for things like police cars, fire trucks, ambulances, things of that sort. But what that does is it reduces our capability of funding for more capital improvement projects. What that does is effectively shift us somewhat more toward doing general obligation bonding or hoping that we can get grants, particularly from the federal government through the state. That is an unknown because we know that there's concerns here about what kind of funds are going to come out of the feds. But what it boils down to is how much ability and how much capability does the city council think the city has in the long term as to what we can do to certainly fix sometimes a century-old infrastructure. So when you talk about the impacts, some of these impacts are short-term, some of them are long-term, and every time you want to think long, the state decides to think short. That's just how it is.
And when putting together a city budget and throughout your career, you've done it plenty of times.
Yeah.
How much do you look at the upcoming fiscal year alone? How much do you look at maybe 3, 4, 5, 10 years down the road when putting together a single year's budget? And where's maybe the happy medium between those two discussions?
This is I think the 30th budget I have done. And the environment has changed over time. I think we were not so concerned about operations costs long-term in the past, from my experience at least. And I think it's based upon the fact that I've worked in communities that really were not shrinking. They were at least holding steady, if not growing slightly. Our community has shrunk. And in fact, we like to think that we're turning that around with some of the housing development that we're doing. But in and of itself, because we have to look at the city's government, particularly the city's type of government, as more of a business, we need to grow to at least maintain what we have, because growth in revenues also offsets growth in costs. And it's really the costs that we have to concern ourselves with growth is like, well, utility costs, gas and electric are going up. We know that. The cost of equipment, the cost of materials go up. yes, salaries go up, but to be honest with you, our salary increases around this government have been pretty much at what the cost of living is. It's not very lucrative, if you will, from a standpoint of looking at what is paid versus the private sector. Although some people might think that there's a lot of money being made. To be honest with you, if you compare what kind of salaries and what kind of responsibilities we have to what you'd see of comparable positions in the private sector, you realize that government in and of itself is always a bargain. But if I look long, in a place like Waukon, I don't think I'd look more than about 3 years out. And I do look that way. But what really is a challenge, certainly now versus when I first started working here about 6 years ago, is the fact that the state keeps changing the game. And it's becoming more and more of a challenge, not for me, not for the city of Waukon, but for cities and city administrators and elected officials throughout the state as to what kind of environment that they're going to work with. And it changes and it differs from city to city. Some cities have more of a stress than we do. Others have less of a stress than we do. And I would submit to you that the issues that we have dealing with budget planning and things of that sort are probably about typical for what you'd find in Iowa. Our revenue base is slightly less than average. But on the other hand, if we wanted to make more improvements, we need to have investment capital to do that. And right now, that's going to be the ongoing challenge.
And just looking at the whole population related to city expense issue, I know the amateur ignorant mind like myself would say, well, if you got less residents, you should have less city expenses. But following city governments and local governments for 25 years, that isn't always the case. Explain why.
Well, first of all, you have to look at the magnitude of what you have for your government, and for in our case, we haven't seen significant reductions in population. We lost less than 2% in the last decade. I don't think that has a significant impact upon our service provision base. Mm-hmm. On the other hand, in the background, we always want to improve on property maintenance inspection. We're doing a lot more building permits and things of that sort because we're going through expansion, but we haven't added to our staff to address that kind of thing. And in fact, if we had growth in our tax base that the state would allow us to have, that maybe we would hire a person or two to deal with some of these issues that have been around for a long time, but really have not been broadly addressed because we don't have the resource to do it. Now, if we were to make cuts with smaller populations, well, we don't cut the number of streets. We don't cut the number of water and sewer mains. Some would suggest that we need to have at least as much law enforcement as we have, if not more so. But right now, we're trying to maintain what we have. Our quality of life issues related to parks and rec, we're not getting rid of the park. We're not getting rid of the swimming pool. We're not getting rid of the wellness center. We're not adding staff to it, but to take staff away, well, you don't see that kind of impact as far as maintaining what we have. So I think the real question here is that if you're talking about reductions in force, mm-hmm. you have to ask what is it that we have to provide, which is a bottom line or baseline to begin with. And I would submit that that Waukon has been here at that level for quite some time, and I don't see that changing. It really is pretty simple if you think about it from the standpoint of the city's government. Our service provision isn't dictated as much by the population, although the revenues that we generate is dictated by what we have for property tax base, sales tax base, revenue from road use tax and things of that sort.
And yeah, basically I was just thinking of the example, if 100 people lived on a street 10 years ago and 88 people live there now, I mean, the street still needs to get plowed in the wintertime. I mean, it's
That's
something
exactly
simple
right.
like that, right?
That's exactly right.
So, and I know on another front, you discussed forming committees for the election or the selection, I should say, of an engineering firm, as well as the city manager recruitment consultant last night. Sounds like you want to deal with the engineering firm first. Would that be fair to say?
Yeah, I think for a couple of reasons. Last night I talked about the fact that we're going to bring in UERPC to make a presentation on doing comprehensive plans in the upcoming months. And I think it would be important to have an engineering firm on board to do that or to be a participant in that process. I think also, as far as the timing of things are concerned, it'd be helpful to have an engineering firm on board to determine some cost estimates and, for that matter, do some capital improvement planning for the next couple, 3 years. Although, when I've always said that if you're going to do capital improvement planning, that doesn't mean you just put together a wish list and hope that and wish that you get money for it. Realistically, a capital improvement plan for street reconstruction or the like needs to have a financial plan to be with it. Otherwise, having a capital improvement plan really doesn't have a whole lot of impact as far as what we're doing. I think as far as the city manager search is concerned, it's not quite as pressing. We have to, I'm leaving at the end of the calendar year, so there's a little time left. But once we get someone on board, then there will be a lot of work that's done before we even go out, and I assume that before we even go out and start the recruitment process itself.
And where did the council leave the forming of the committee and what that committee will do last night?
Well, I think that we have the engineering committee pretty much put together. We're going to meet pretty quick. And I think that as far as putting together the committee necessary for hiring the city manager, there was discussion last night about incorporating not only staff members and council, but also incorporating some community people to be a part of this committee. That's something that's still in its infancy as far as its construction is concerned. But I would expect that next month we'll have that all figured out and put in place.
And I know you're dealing with a small piece of property regarding right around the fairgrounds, and a public hearing has been set to sell that small piece of property to the Allamakee County Agricultural Society. Seemingly, this is a pretty routine thing when it comes up from time to time in city government. Is this a routine thing or not?
Oh, in this particular case, this is a very small potatoes from, I think, the perspective of both the Fair Board and the city. They just want to have some control over ground that I don't know why we have it to begin with. Nobody knows. It's been forever and a day. But at the same time, I raised this specter last night that we have some ground on the fairgrounds that we use for our organic waste, our debris pile from trees and leaves and all that kind of stuff. Everybody drops their stuff off and effectively gets recycled. That is actually on fairgrounds. So in context, what we're going to wind up doing is doing a little bit of surveying to get the appropriate properties put together, then simultaneously do a trade for some of our ground, for some of their ground. And the function isn't going to change at all. What this is just cleaning up, probably a lot of handshake agreements that have occurred way in the past. We have that very unique distinction of having to deal with handshake agreements from way in the past. And that's one of the things we keep doing.
And I'd imagine that just comes up, especially in small communities from time to time. And those handshake agreements perhaps didn't include maps way back in the day, right?
Yeah, I think you're probably right about that.
So That's covered most of the things that were on my list. Gary, anything else you want to pass along as long as you got the forum this morning?
I think we there was a group of people from Allamakee County that attended a statewide conference on rural housing and rural development, and I was there along with Val Renke from the Allamakee County Economic Development and Tourism. Brenda Hackman from Allamakee Clayton REC was there. There was some people from Postville there. But one of the things that was noteworthy is that we had a lot of accolades given us for the housing work that we're doing here. It's pretty unique for cities our size. And it was recognized statewide. Val was actually on a panel discussion that talked about what we did and how we did it. And it's certainly at least an example for the rest of the state as to how to try and get housing put together in the processes that we went through. As far as rural development is concerned, I mean, obviously it's more than just being a city and waiting for somebody to show up. I mean, we have to provide a lot of information and be in a position of readiness to address potential economic development and housing opportunities. I think that has drawn attention to Waukon, and as a result, I think that the momentum that we have right now can be built upon with a recognition of other people in the area to be assisting and recognizing that Waukon can do this and has done. So that was a big deal for us, and I think it speaks well to our community.
And always good to know that you're on the right track, at least, or the right track, I should say, in another person's eyes. You feel you're doing the right thing, but to hear it from other people, I'd imagine, is pretty rewarding.
Yeah, exactly.
So anyway, Gary, that's we appreciate your time and the information you pass on to us each and every month. Look forward to our conversation next month, and let's keep our Cubs moving in the right direction, most importantly, right?
Amen, brother.
Thanks to our guest on the program, City Manager of Waukon, Sarah Hagen, talking about the dinner theater taking place this weekend, the radio play disaster, and we talked about it on the radio. Coincidence? I think not. Jessica Rilling with the Decorah Area Chamber of Commerce, the gala coming up tomorrow night at Impact Coffee. The Office is the theme, one of the greatest sitcoms in American television history. You may disagree. I like it. Just passing that along. I know you probably don't care. Coming up Saturday morning, Pine Bluff Camp near Decorah is going to have their annual cleanup. Halley Wise joining us to tell us about that. And always good to catch up on what's going on in the city of Waukon with Gary Boden, the city manager. And a reminder, we put these shows on YouTube each and every week. We know you can't always be near a radio or a smart speaker at 9 o'clock on a Thursday morning, but we talk to interesting people about interesting things, about community-minded events, and we want to bring those conversations to you on your schedule. So head to YouTube, 424 Our Town Program. That's a way to search it if you're out looking for maybe old football games, old comedy clips, cat videos, whatever you do on YouTube. 424 Our Town Program is a way you can search that. We also put the link up on all of our Facebook pages as well from our LA Communications radio stations. Without you, without our communities, none of this works from our perspective. And this is a small way we try to keep in touch with our communities, the Our Town program, each and every week. And we thank Decorah Bank and Trust for being the sponsor of our Town program each and every week. We thank the guests that joined us this morning, and most importantly, we thank you, that's right, you, for tuning in, for logging on, or for watching Our Town on 94.9 and 99.1 The River.